We are live. Yes, wonderful. Welcome, everybody, and thank you for joining us. If you're joining us live, happy World Social Media Day for 2021. That's right. Today, the world celebrates together being connected via social media since about 1997. I think technically it's been nearly 40 years, but with the very first what would be considered social media. But as far as the internet, social media through the internet, it started around 1997. So happy birthday, social media. And today we are going to be talking about how you can make social media work smarter for you instead of harder. And there are definitely a few tips and tricks that you can get on board with easily and in most cases pretty affordably as well. There's certainly ways to do it that are an investment, but also you need to start to weigh up, is the investment more worth your time? Is your time the investment, or is your money the investment? And what's going to be your return on investment? So weighing those things up when you start to take on modes and methods of social media that start to cost you, what is it costing you? And how do you measure the return? So I have just come from a virtual event run by a couple of gentlemen, Keith Kellor and Doyle. I can't pronounce his surname, but I'll tag him. And they just used a social media platform called Run the World. And in essence, it's a little bit like StreamYard, but on steroids. It's StreamYard and Zoom and all these digital virtual meeting platforms all rolled into one. And we just had this wonderful virtual get together where you could call people up out of the audience on the spot. It didn't have to be pre-recorded. It didn't have to be pre-organized or anything like that. And the level of engagement, which is really the core to social media, the core purpose behind social media is to create engagement. And if you don't have engagement, you probably need to go back and reflect on the content that you're putting out. So one of the first things that I want you to consider when you are entering the realms of social media, albeit LinkedIn or Facebook or Twitter or Instagram or any social media. It could be Bumble and Tinder, right? It's still a social media platform, is to understand who is your audience and what is your purpose to being there. Because the reality is in 2021, if there wasn't already a glut of noise over the internet and through our media in our everyday lives, there certainly has become exactly that, more so in the last 15 to 18 months. I know especially here in Australia, as soon as the bushfires started in Sydney and spread across the country, that our media became somewhat of a shitstorm. And it hasn't stopped with the introduction of coronavirus and everything else that's come since then. So the reality is, for you as a business owner, as a leader, as a content creator, I want you to be really purposeful in why you are on social media. What are you trying to achieve? So to do that, you need to have a strategy. You need to understand who is your target audience and what problem are you solving and what do they want from you, right? It is far too common to see people on social media talking for the sake of the fact that they just love their own voice. And to be honest, I could easily do that, right? But I want to make sure that people continue to tune in and watch. So to do that, I have to be really specific and purposeful. And that's why every week that we do these live broadcasts, there's there's a theme behind it. There's a topic that we're covering. There's a problem that we're solving. There's questions that we're asking. There is a purpose behind every piece of content. So once you have that, I also then want you to consider, where are your customers? Where are your audience? And a really good example of, finding them is during the very first lockdown here in Melbourne for COVID. I found out that a number of my target audience, which was men between the age of 30 and 45 who ran their own business, I found out that a number of them actually started working from home, which was great, but they were working from home. And ultimately what they ended up doing was they were going and gaming on and using a platform called Twitch. Now, Twitch is predominantly a gaming platform, but it also is a live stream platform. So I decided, in my capacity to be very flexible, thankfully, that I would meet them where they were, right? And that means that I would go to them. I wouldn't create something and expect that they're going to sign up to a whole new thing just to be with me. I would meet them where they were. So they were no longer really interested in Facebook. They certainly weren't hanging out on Instagram. My next port of call is probably Reddit. It's predominantly men on there. But these business owners were hanging out on Twitch. So I took the opportunity to start a talk show around aspects of business on Twitch, and very quickly became known as the Twitch Lady. Now, truth be told, in all honesty, even though I met them where they were, my content wasn't gaming related. My goal was to try and peel them away from the game. And I know if you're a gamer, you're probably watching this and going, what a deluded goal. But my goal was to peel them away from the game, come and watch 90 minutes of me and awesome people talk about different aspects of business. And it was chill. Half the time I sat there with a glass of wine. We were ourselves. It wasn't very formal. And it was a really great way for people to snack on some content and learn stuff about their business when they should have been working. Ultimately, I did pretty well, actually. I was going to say I didn't do that well, but I did well enough that I became a Twitch affiliate. So that was definitely tick. And to do that, you have to have a certain consistency. You have to have a certain amount of followers. You have to also have a certain amount of people in the lives that you do. So you can't just get it for the sake of, saying, well, I logged on, so now make me an affiliate. You have to hit some pretty quite high standards. So I actually did become an affiliate through Twitch, which was pretty awesome. However, what happened was when people went back to work and they no longer were working from home, aka gaming on Twitch, my views dropped down. But the best part about that flexibility and meeting them where they were was that it gave me some scope to do my next project, which was to create a podcast. So I then took my experience on Twitch and created the Value Driven Brand podcast. So then what I did was I ascertained, okay, well, I have a new audience now. My audience that were on Twitch are now back in their work vans or, back sitting in an office. Now they have the capacity to listen to a podcast. So what better way to meet them where they are than to evolve the way that I do social media? So I did exactly that. And we've now had 30 interviews, 30 podcasts, hundreds and hundreds of views and downloads, which has been absolutely just so phenomenal. And every customer, every podcast guest comes past and says, that was just so much fun. And that to me says that the experience that I'm building in my social media strategy is absolutely working, because one of the things I value is having fun. So I want that to come across not just in my personality, but in the way that I deliver my content as well. And then that rubs off on people, right? That energy is magnetic. So they start to go, oh, hey, this isn't as stressful as I thought it might be, or hey, this is some really good questions, or I love that she's prepared. And so the thing about being a quality social media personality is to know what your customers need. And my podcast guests are equally my customers, just as much as the people listening. So what do those two parties need to make them want to come back, to make them feel loyal to the content that I'm creating? The other thing that you also can consider doing is the social media platforms that you are using is understanding who of your customers are actually there. So, for example, I was recently mentoring a mortgage broker, and he wasn't on LinkedIn. And I said, mate, you need to get on LinkedIn. You have people who are in business, self-employed, investors, those people are on LinkedIn, and you now are missing an opportunity because you haven't met them where they are. So he is now in the process of creating a strategy to get him on LinkedIn in a smart and purposeful and targeted way, so that he can garner the audiences that are there suitable to his business. But then on the flip side, I've seen so many other businesses who are on LinkedIn, for an example, and I think, why? Surely your customers aren't here. So there needs to be some real kind of consideration around where your customers are. I mean, there was no real point in me sticking with Twitch, even though I loved it. I had so much fun producing Twitch. It was a lot of work. So if you ever see me back on there, it's probably because I have a personal assistant managing it all by that stage. But I loved it. But it is pointless me being on there at the moment, because that's not where my customers are anymore, right? It would be like, you creating content for MySpace when Facebook is the predominant method, or the predominantly used mode of social media. What would be the point? Who's going to see it? What engagement are you going to get? What conversations are you going to start? Probably not many. I mean, I never actually got onto MySpace. I feel like I missed a whole era of social media. It was very bizarre. I actually don't know how. Maybe I was out actually being social. Who knew? Who knows? The other parts around making social media work smarter is that you also need to consider, what do your profiles look like? Are they, my apologies, I forgot to turn my inbox off. Do they come across as what's called integrated? So in marketing terms, it's called integrated marketing. And there you go. There's pretty much the predominant piece around marketing that I learned from university. Integrated marketing. And what that means is that I can go from any and every social media platform and see either your brand colors or your brand slogan or something that makes me know it's you without telling me it's you, right? So that is where it becomes really important to have had considered how you put yourself out there as a brand, right? We talk about going from a business to a brand. By the time you are a brand, you need to have had some level or a detailed level of insight into how people perceive and know it's you without knowing it's you. For example, whenever someone sees the hashtag sex, as in CEHX, I know that they now know that's me, right? They don't even have to see Aileen Day. They see sex and they go, this must be something with Aileen, right? They see red banners. Oh, that must be Aileen, right? And think about other brands that you don't even have to see their business name to know it's them, right? Nike's tick, swoosh thing, you know it's Nike, right? If you see a gold beer label, you will know that that is a Crown Lager, right? The thing also is, though, that for it to be integrated, it means that it needs to be consistent, not just exactly the same all the time, but consistent in any and every way that you put yourself out there to the public. So that is called integrated marketing, and branding. And if you want more help with that, please feel free to talk to me. So then you need to, once you have found your audience, understood your purpose, become quite specific around the problems that you're solving and putting yourself out there to be of service, right? Social media is a beast for narcissists. It is a beast. I literally just watched a TikTok with some random woman standing in front of the camera doing this for 60 seconds. And I don't understand how, but it had 62 or 160 something thousand likes. Why? Why? Did I miss something? Where's the value? Look, there's no guessing what is going on in some people's heads, but the reality is that I implore you to not be the noise. I implore you to be purposeful and value-driven in the content that you create, in the way that you use social media. And I'm going to give them a shout out, because if you want to start using social media, this is not a paid advertisement. I use the product and I love the product. But if you want to start purposefully repurposing your content, then I would most certainly suggest that you go and look up a AI program called lately.ai. And you might have seen the podcast with Kate Bradley Chernis, who is the founder of lately.ai, and me just fangirling all over the product that her and her team have created, because they are such an amazing bunch of humans. And I'm so grateful I got onto them through David Allison, who is the founder of Value Graphics. Another thing that you should understand about your audience is what they value. But back to Lately, the program Lately, basically you can put in one of these videos and come out with dozens and dozens of short content pieces and have that be scheduled over. I have content scheduled. You're just going to either love me or get sick of me, because I've got content scheduled out to nearly 2023. Because the beautiful thing about the content that I do create is it's what's called Evergreen. And that is my next tip. Create content that can be used today, 6 years down the track, 26 years down the track. And you will find that one day when you have forgotten about this particular video that you recorded on Social Media Day 2021, that someone in Social Media Day 2029 will put a like on it and go, hey, this was great content. And you'll be like, what? I never remember filming that. But the beauty of it is that it is lasting and evergreen. It doesn't die. The information is usable from now until eternity. Well, until social media is not a thing anymore, right? So if you want to stay connected, if you want to create engagement, if you want to solve problems for your audience, if you want to be of service and create a trusted, value-driven brand with great customer, employee, and human experiences, then please go and celebrate the ways that you use social media to be connected to other humans, but do it wisely and on purpose, and be the best human that you can be so that other amazing humans can follow you. That is it for me today. It has been an absolute pleasure. I will be back next week. And if you watch this today or in 20 years' time, make sure you put a like or throw something in the comments and say hi. I'm Aileen Day. Until next time, go out and deliver value to somebody else in your life, because what goes around comes around. See you next time.